So far, you've seen the posting on
You have like a spring.
I gotta get that rope cut. That's what I.
He's a good player.
Yes, he is. That's what he told me. He's a good player. I don't know.
Sometimes,
Sometimes, yes.
not all the time.
All right. Have a good night.
You too, Walter.
Bye bye. Have a good night. You get his phone number? No, this country's gonna find
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, did you hear that Elon Musk has bought up most of the shares in Twitter in order to cite the I'm not sure,
All right, the 7 and the 8, which were both of the wing balls, went on the break, and here's what we have on the 1. So if we take a look at the straight and line on the 2, we can see that we want to be straight in as possible on the 2, so we can just roll up a couple inches on the 3 and get right on the 4 ball. The big problem we have with doing that is the 5 ball is getting in the game and calling for absolute precision on the 2 ball. But in this case, being as precise as we can is definitely the way to go. So we're shooting this with top left-hand English to bounce off the top rail and try our best to get straight in on the 2. And I came up a little bit short, and I'm also on the rail, so I wind up on the left-hand side of the 2 ball line, but I can still make the 2 ball and drift down in line for the 3 to get on the 4. So let's take a look at the 3 ball line, and the agenda is to get as straight in as I can on that line, to just hit a stop shot on the 3 and take the cut shot on the 4 for the side pocket and wrap around in line for the 5 ball. And I have to put top on this ball because I don't have a choice. I'm on the rail, but do not put English on this shot. You will miss it if you put any right or left on it. And as you can see, I had to drift down table a little bit to get right on the 3, and I'm not exactly straight in on the 3, but it's not bad at all, and I can still control this cue ball to get right on the 4. It's just going to be a little bit of a tough cut shot, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And speaking of the 4, let's take a look at the 4-ball line and use that to decide where we want to be on the 5-ball. And we're going to wind up well on the right-hand side of the 4-ball line, but it does offer pretty good position to get back on the 5-ball for a shot in the same side pocket. And because we have a little bit of distance between the cue ball and the 3-ball, we're going to be shooting this with just a hair of bottom and a little bit of speed to get that cue ball to stop in line for the 4-ball. So here's what we have, and let's take a look at the 5-ball line and decide exactly where we need to be on that line. I'm shooting a shot with bottom left, but I'm only going 2 rails and trying to get on the left-hand side of that 5-ball so I can shoot it in the side, roll up, and get right on the 6-ball. And as you can see, I went a little bit too long and wound up on the right-hand side of the 5-ball. So this is basically the same shot as the 4-ball, but instead of bottom left, I'm putting top left on it to go 2 rails again to get right on the 6-ball. And right on the 6-ball would be just a little bit on the left-hand side so I can drift back up table to get right on the 9-ball. And as you can see, I went too far again and wound up on the wrong side of the ball again. But I recommend not doing anything crazy here and just cinching the 6-ball, rolling up, trying not to get on the rail, and taking a long, tough shot on the 9-ball. So let's take a look at the 9-ball line, and now you can see it probably won't be too bad of a shot if we just drift up a little bit on the 6-ball. It's still very makeable, and don't do anything fancy with the cue ball here. Just center ball and just roll it on up. And that's not too bad, is it? Oh, come on, you're a shot maker. Hey guys, don't create the bad habit of spinning these balls in. Center ball, shoot straight, and you're good to go. See? It's easy. Hey, let's take a look at run out number 2.
No, I told him.
Yeah, here's what we have after the break. So let's take a look at the 2-ball line, decide where we need to be on that line to get right on the 3 in order to get all the way down table on the 4. And there's other ways to do this, but I'm going to stay on the right hand side of the 2-ball in order to use a left hand side rail to get right on the 3. So because I don't want to spin the cue ball off the rail and get on the left side of the 2, I'm just hitting this with dead center ball. And too many amateur players will let the cue ball loose in order to try to get perfect and closer to the 2-ball, but there's no sense in doing that. This is still an easy shot to get on the 3. So here we see the 3-ball line, and we want to be on the right hand side of the line. The issue with this is avoiding the 8-ball. If we bang into the 8-ball full, it could roll up in our way, so we want to avoid that. So I'm just putting a hair bottom on here to just pull it back a little bit and avoid the 8-ball. And here's where we get. So let's take a look at the 4-ball line and also take a look at where the 5-ball is and where the 6-ball is. I'm going off the right hand rail, but I'm using the 9-ball as a stopper. And when I shoot the 4-ball, you'll see me use the 9-ball again as a stopper, and this is a little bit dangerous, but I got a little bit high on the 4-ball, so it's a little bit of a tough angle, and I don't want the cue ball getting away from me, so that 9-ball is in a perfect position to stop the cue ball to get right on the 5-ball. And we're shooting this with just a little bit of top left hand English to spin it off the rail and try to get right on the 4-ball. And this is another thin cut, so it's going to come hard off that bottom round, but because the 9-ball's right there to stop it perfectly on the 5-ball, I'm using the 9 as a stopper. And again, this is dangerous. If we hit the right hand side of that 9, we could wind up in big trouble. So we want to hit the 9-ball full. And let's take a look at the 5-ball line, and we definitely want to be on the right hand side of that line because we need to cut that 5-ball and use the left hand side rail to get right on the 6. And this is being shot with bottom left. Yeah, it worked out perfect, but I don't recommend banging in the balls unless you absolutely have to, and be very, very careful when you do that. They can always wind up a disaster. So let's take a look at the 6-ball line, decide where we want to be on that line to get right on the 8-ball. And getting straight in on the 6 would be fine. Getting on the right hand side of the 6 would also be fine as long as it's not too far on the right. The last thing you want to do is come up on the left hand side of the 6 because now you're going to have a whole lot of problems getting on the 8-ball. So this is a little bit touchy, and we're shooting this with a little bit of bottom left, and we're shooting it delicately just to kind of spin it off the rail and try to get right on the 6. And I probably should have said this from the start, but the 7-ball went on the break. If you want to go back and look at it, you'll see it was the wing ball and it went straight into the corner pocket. And the reason I didn't want to shoot this 8-ball in the side pocket is because of where the 9-ball is. So we're shooting the 8-ball up in the top left-hand pocket, and we want to be a little bit on the right-hand side of that 8-ball in order to kind of stun draw it over into position for the 9-ball. So we're shooting the 6-ball lightly with just a little bit of bottom left to push it over to the right-hand side of the 8-ball. Yeah, that's about right. And you don't need any English on this shot. So let's take a look at the 9-ball line. All we really have to do is, well, number one, avoid the scratch. So you want to put a little bit of draw on it. But I put a little bit too much and wound up way over to the right-hand side of the 9-ball. And all you really have to do is stun this over lightly. So that's why I make these videos, so you guys can learn from my mistakes. And here's where we get, and yeah, it's not real pretty, but don't spin this in. It would be hard to spin it in anyway because I'm on the rail. Just a little bit of top dead center ball and just cinch the ball. And let's go ahead and move on to the last game here from the break. Breaks are included in 9-ball videos from now on.
John, it's been all right.
Yeah. There we go.
How's your game coming along?
There you go. We made the 2, the 4, and the 8 on the break, so now we're playing 6 ball. My break is definitely improving. I've been working a whole lot on it, and the next video you see is really going to bring it home. As for this game, let's take a look at the 3 ball line because it's a 2 ball went on the break, and we need to get on the 5 ball. So we need to decide exactly where we want to be on the 3 in order to get to the 5 and get right on the 6. And this might be wrong, but I decided to shoot the 5 on the left-hand side pocket. So I need to be pretty well over on the left-hand side of the 3 ball, but I think I went a little bit too far over to the left side. I think there's a better way to do this, but this is how I did it, and I shot the 1 ball with a little bit of bottom right to kind of kill the ball off the right hand side rail and just bring it across the table for the left hand side of the 3 ball line. And here's what we get. So yeah, I'm going to have to use the 6 ball a little bit to get right on the 5 ball. So let's take a look at the 5 ball line and decide exactly where we want to be on the 5 to get right on the 6. And we should be a little bit on the left-hand side of the 6, but we'll save that until we get to it. I shot this 3 ball with bottom right to bring it off the right-hand side rail and try to get right on the 5. And it wasn't pretty, but I got right on the 5, and now, like I said, the agenda is to get a little bit on the left-hand side of the 6. So here's the 6 ball line, and we need to be just a little left to it right here to just run it down for a shot in the top left-hand corner of the pocket for the 7 ball. That was the plan. The plan is going to change because I shoot this 5 ball all wrong. So I'm doing nothing with the 5 ball at all when I should have drew it back and stunned it over for the left side of the 6 ball. So while I'm putting, dead center bottom on it, I didn't shoot it hard enough. I just kind of poked it into the pocket and cinched the 5 ball and wound up on the right hand side of the 6 ball line. So now instead of shooting the 7 in the bottom left hand corner, I'm shooting it in the bottom right hand corner and putting a lot of right hand English on the cue ball when I shoot the 6 to come out and try to get in line or try to get right, which will be a little bit on the left hand side of the 7 ball line, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So yeah, this is what we wind up with, and naturally if you shoot this cue ball with just top or just dead center, the cue ball is wanting to go down table, so we have to kill it off that right hand round with a whole lot of right hand English. And here's the 7 ball line, and we're putting a lot of top right on this to try to get a little bit on the left hand side of the 7 ball line. Yeah, that should be okay. Alright, 2 rails on this shot, back on the 9, and be careful, try to get straight in on the 9, and all will be groovy. So we're going down to the top rail, and we're going to wind up hitting the left hand side rail to get right on the 9. So this is being shot with a whole lot of top and a little bit of right to spin it off the top rail and stay on the left hand side of the table. So here's where we get, and I'm pretty happy with that. We're about as straight as you can get. So just dead center ball with just a little bit of bottom. And that's it, folks. Just like that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't miss the next one. It's going to be huge.